I inherited a stupid amount of money from my grandparents. Now my parents will finally talk to me. I have 4 siblings: Max, Lisa, Chris, and Emily. Emily is disabled, and because of that my parents dedicated themselves 100% to her, leaving the rest of us to fend for ourselves. When Max left for college, I became the main caregiver for my siblings, and all household chores were my responsibility. I want to make it clear that Emily's disability does not stop her from functioning like any other person, and she doesn't require any assistance or supervision or 24/7 care. However, my parents have always spoiled her rotten, and she is very rude, mean, and entitled. My parents raised her with the mentality that her disability means she's allowed to do whatever, and everyone needed to bend backward for her. My grandparents passed away 3 years ago, and I inherited everything, approximately $6 million. They were very well off, I know. The reason I received all of it is that when my grandparents were sick, Max contacted them after almost 10 years of silence because he wanted to know how much he would receive. I don't speak to Max. They were very aware of how my mom treated me and my siblings, and she was disowned. They were very religious, and Lisa came out as bi at 14 and Chris came out as gay at 17. I went no contact with my parents after I moved for college. When Lisa and Chris started college, I offered to cover all of their living and educational expenses as long as they do well in school. They gladly accepted. I also helped my best friend Lola start her own business. I haven't spoken to my parents in 6 years. I haven't blocked them, they just never called or texted. This year Emily started college, and she burned out all of her college fund in less than 4 months because she is a spoiled brat and bags were more important than rent. In addition, she is doing horrible in school because she isn't even attending her classes, and she will most likely be expelled or held back. One night, my mom called me. Not to ask, but to demand that I do for her the same I do for Lisa and Chris. I said no because growing up I was literally a slave for her and my parents. I'm helping Lisa and Chris because they are the only ones that treat me as family. I ended the call by telling her that for 18 years Emily was their only kid, so now they have no right to demand anything from the kids they practically abandoned. Now I'm getting roasted by everyone, except Lisa and Chris. Because I'm causing unnecessary drama. I'm causing a rift between Emily and her siblings. Emily will be the only one without a degree. It's not really my money, and my grandparents would want me to help her, otherwise they would have just left her some money. I'm getting told things like family is family and I should help my little sister. And it's not her fault that my parents were bad parents to me. True, but she doesn't do anything to change her behavior. Apparently she's disabled and it's not okay to discriminate. I don't even know what disability she has. My parents never told me, and when anyone asked they would get very defensive. She can't even get governmental assistance because she doesn't have documentation that attests she is disabled. I remember my parents fighting about taking my sister to different doctors because they all refused to sign she was disabled. Emily's spending problem got worse since she left home, and the rest of the family is no longer in a position to give them money. Also, my dad had a work accident a few months ago and he was forced to retire, so now their income has significantly reduced. How can someone spend that much? Simple. She renewed her closet, purchased a very expressive car, and just partied until she dropped. For reference, my parents have high-paying jobs and Emily's college fund was around $587,000 when I left for college. All that money is gone. Did me and my siblings have a college fund? Nope. We all worked our butts off to get scholarships so we can go. And I do have a will in place. If anything happens to me, all the assets will be split equally between Lisa, Chris, Lola, and an organization fighting for wildlife. My favorite uncle called me a couple of hours after I blocked most of my family because they had come up with a plan to get me to pay. He didn't know what the plan was, he just heard a portion of the conversation between my mom and my aunt. Just like he said, my mom called a few minutes later to tell me Emily was pregnant, so I needed to help her because if I didn't I'd damage my future niece or nephew. I cried with how hard I started laughing, and I just told her to F off. I blocked them all. But seriously, how crazy do you need to be to fake a pregnancy?